morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're delighted to have you here. I'm so pleased to have our guest, Felicia Brown with AARP on today. Thank you, Felicia.
Thank you for having me, Donna.
This is going to be fun. All right. So as you may or may not know, Purse Power is working to help women use their massive purchasing power to drive positive change. We believe that women make 80% of all purchasing decisions. If we would choose to buy from the companies that actively promote women, and we could create a funding stream for battered women's shelters in the process, that we could shatter glass ceilings and change lives. So we do these interviews, do our sessions every Friday at 10 a.m. Central. Oh, good. We've got a new edition here. And I put up the recordings generally by Saturday morning. And if you want to register for any of our sessions, they are on pursepower.com, and you can click on the link and register. I put them up every Monday morning for every Friday session. And we've done about 85 episodes and they're all online. So I hope people will go and check them out. All right, let me introduce you now. I'll go ahead and go through your bio. So Felicia, of course, is a senior advisor at AARP. And she's had over 25 years of experience developing programs, managing projects, and doing strategic planning. That's fantastic. In her primary role as a lead for AARP's Entrepreneurship initiative, she provides strategic direction for national partnerships and national programming with a focus on women, communities of color, and veterans.
Yes.
It's amazing. Great role. Among her recent accomplishments are the creation of AARP's Meet the Founder, which is, I think, a podcast, right? Are they both podcasts? So that and how she did it?
Yep. So one, Meet the Founder, Donna, is our interview series of experienced business owners. And how she did it is a podcast that I created with more brand aware, most large brand companies of women of color.
Oh, very good. Very good. Love it. Okay. She has also featured this AARP Work and Job video series and led the creation of the Small Business Development Resource Center for 50 plus. So we want to learn more about that. Smallbizrc.org is where people can get at that detail. And I'll put it in chat. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So to begin, we want to learn more about you. Okay. Tell us about yourself.
Well, again, Donna, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. I'm always excited to talk about the resources and tools that AARP has really to help women kind of catapult into their what's next and to be in their own boss. And as my bio indicated, I have over 25 years of experience really kind of doing impactful work around community development and building programs that impact individuals in the community. And so I have to, I have to do the disclaimer that I'm not a business owner. And so I'm, but I've been steeped in this work for a couple of years now that I can speak intelligently about what people should do and what people should not do as they navigate along their entrepreneurship journey. So program development is a passion of mine. I've been doing it for a number of years because I believe in community. And I'm also a community advocate through a number of volunteer organizations. So again, thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, I want to clarify what your role is, a little bit more about all of the things that you do at the AARP. And I'm also interested in why they are interested in entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. That's a great question, Donna, because I think that most people see AARP as Social Security and Medicare. And so we do a lot of things. And so one of the things that we do is economic security. And so entrepreneurship really falls in line with that body of work. And so I lead our entrepreneurship work that really helps people to decide if entrepreneurship is the right path for them. We know that entrepreneurship is not easy. It's not for everyone. But if you decide that it is your path, then we have the Small Business Resource Center for the 50 plus that has a plethora of resources to help you decide when to start, when to manage, how to grow. And we are in this space, AARP, because we believe it can be one path to one's to one's financial security, to helping to build your economic security as you begin to sunset and to hang on the beach when you decide you don't want to work anymore or you don't want to run your business anymore. So we are really helping people with their financial security is really, really important because we want people to have a good financial foundation. And we believe that entrepreneurship can help not only help you achieve that, but also help communities of color build that financial generational wealth that we see that businesses have done and can do.
Yes, yes, yes. I met an amazing woman. You should get on one of your programs last night. She's running like $1 billion business. She's an African-American woman. She's amazing. Okay, let's see here. So tell us about the entrepreneurial resources that are available. So I gave people the website, but tell us what's there. What kinds of resources you have? Yeah.
So when you go there, when you go to smallbizrc.org, you will find a body of information that help you to understand how to launch, manage, and grow. Okay. And so we have a lot of written information around that. But in addition to that, Donna, we have a lot of tip sheets, we have worksheets, we have on-demand webinars, we have this interview series, Meet the Founder, we have the podcast that you can listen to, How She Did It. In addition, we have what I call these audience-specific resource pages. And we have one for women, we have one for African Americans, one for Hispanics, one for the Asian American audience, the Native American, veterans, as well as the LGBTQ community. And I did that very intentionally because we know that there are organizations that specifically focus on those audiences. And they have very targeted programming and grant funding that is designed for those audiences. So when you go there, not only will you find general information on how to start and grow a business, but you will also find yourself there, where there are organizations that are looking and seeking their communities out to really help them thrive and succeed.
Okay, very interesting. All right, so that sounds great. In our audience, we do get a mix of people, but we have a lot of women who are your target audience from my perspective. So what unique strengths do you see that female entrepreneurs in our kind of age group have?
Well, you said, I think when I saw that question, Donna, I thought about, what are the characteristics that my mother and my grandmother and my aunts have, and the characteristics that come to mind is strength, resiliency, tenacity, fortitude, and you need to bring all of those things with you if you are interested in starting a business. We know that businesses close. Statistics have shown that businesses close within the first of 5 to 7 years. And that's a national statistic. And as I indicated, being a business owner is not for the faint at heart.
Amen.
It's not for the faint at heart. And you need to bring all of those life experiences, those work experiences with you to your business. Because there are days that you're going to say, I can't believe I'm doing this. There are going to be days.
Well, what am I doing?
Or what am I doing? Or how do I, or ask the question, how do I do this? Yeah. And so you've got to be able to go to the places that you're not familiar with, to step into those spaces, ask the tough questions, and be okay with saying, I really don't know. I really need help. And so I think that what women bring is all of these experiences, their full selves, to these businesses to get started. And so, Donna, we just completed a research project. We just completed the Women's Entrepreneurship 40 plus who started businesses during COVID. We just surveyed them. We surveyed about 600 women who started these businesses who are age 40 plus. And all of them said that while they struggled, they had challenges with identifying where to go, who to ask, funding, training opportunities. They still said it was worth it. Starting a business was still worth it in spite of all the barriers and challenges that they encountered. So that question is, we have that tenacity to keep going in spite of.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I was talking to you about a few minutes before we started here was about the whole thing with Twitter and all of that. And I mean, the generation that knows how to get through this stuff, these tough times, we're the generation that's been through it.
Absolutely, Donna. And so, businesses, they have a characteristic of stopping and starting. And so let's say you're doing this as a side hustle, which is, which can be ideal during these economic times. So let's say you're a cake maker. And so, you're making cakes, it's seasonal, but then something happens in your family or in your personal life and you have to stop. Then you start again and then you stop. And so it's that continually going back to your first love and believing that you can do this is what really kind of keeps you in it when you're trying to be the best cake maker you can be.
Yeah. I've heard that tenacity is the key for entrepreneurs. You just stick with it. You just keep going.
You stick with it.
Okay. All right. So what advice would you give someone who's just starting their entrepreneurial journey in their 50s, let's say?
Well, the first thing I say is go to our Small Business Resource Center for the 50 plus.
Yeah.
But I would say get a coach. That's one thing I would recommend you do is get a coach, get a mentor, someone you can confidently talk to about kind of what you want to do with this business. The other thing I would say is do your research, do your homework. You're not probably the first and only cake maker, seamstress out here. There's somebody has done it before you. What are you bringing that's unique to the industry? What are you bringing that you really think people need outside of your family and friends? I would say once you arm yourself with information, consider going to the Small Business Development Center. There's one in every community, probably several in every community. There's also the Women's Business Development Center. They're both resource organizations of the Small Business Administration. And there you can get one-on-one counseling. They can help you think through if your idea is marketable and how to pivot, how to tweak it a little bit, how to make sure that you are targeting the right audience and understanding who your audience is or potentially could be. So, and one of the things that I've heard is just get started. Like people wait till they have it all together, Donna. And sometimes you just gotta jump in. Yeah. If you really, really believe that this is something that can be monetized and profitable. And if you're a little unsure, don't jump in with both feet. Like just jump in with one foot and test the market. And then if you're on to something, then go full throttle.
Yeah, no, that's really good advice. That's really good advice. Yeah, and that whole testing the customer, the need, yes, the pain that you're addressing is key. It's key because we all think we have this wonderful idea, but it's you don't know how the market necessarily is going to respond to it. The other thing that somebody told me is, you're very protective of your great idea. And to your point, somebody's done it before and you can learn from what they've done. And if nobody's done it before, is it marketable?
Exactly.
Is the
do
question.
People need it? Like, do people really need what you say people need, or is it just your family and your friends need it? Yeah. So, great business owners have gone through this stops and starts and the testing and the pivoting and rebranding, particularly during COVID, Donna. People had to pivot. And I mean, you know, that became our new word, right? Not just for business owners, for people who have 9-to-5 jobs, but everyone had to pivot and they had to think about, like, what is the new business model? And not being so wedded to what you started with, but thinking about, like, how now can my business kind of move into the future and have more longevity.
Yeah, no, that's a really, really good point. All right. Do you find that it's easier or harder for more mature founders to get funding?
So this is how I'll respond to that.
Yeah.
I think that I like to look at it from two angles. I think that when you're thinking about starting a business, I think that more mature people are very poised to be in this space because they bring all of their wisdom, their experience from working 25, 30 years to their business. When it comes to funding, there's no anomaly to that. I think that everybody has challenges finding funding. And to layer on top of that, women and women of color have even a greater challenge with finding funding. So that's why I think it's now important for people to think about non-traditional avenues of funding and not just think about, like, the banks of the world. And that's not to say that banks are not providing funding to businesses, but I think that sometimes that there may not be as willing in the beginning of their business to take a chance.
Yeah.
And so there's so many organizations now that are helping people, helping business owners to get to that place where they're crowdsourcing or they're providing grants, or even corporate America has stepped up with providing funding to women and women of color business owners to kind of just get that start. Because we know that a lot of research have shown that a lot of businesses are bootstrapping. And we know that bootstrapping essentially means credit cards, which is not really the best path forward. Sure. But if you're trying to get a start and that's what you have, then people are just taking that leap of faith and say, you know what, I believe in what I'm doing and this is how I'm going to get it off the ground. So I encourage the business owners in general to really, really think about, like, the CDFIs of the world. And
say what that is. What is that?
The Community Development Fund, who are investing in businesses, particularly in underserved communities. And so they get funding from, I believe, from the Small Business Administration and other funding avenues to really help businesses of color try to get their start. And so again, we have a tip sheet, and under those audience resource pages, we direct people to organizations that are keenly interested in helping very specific audiences like women get their start. We have them all listed there. But I would say, if you're just getting started, you're a new business owner, I would encourage you to think about kind of going to your non-traditional paths until you're ready to go to the Bank of Americas of the world and the Wells Fargos of the world, who are not quite ready for you, and perhaps can provide some training and direction to these owners on how to become ready.
Yeah. And you referred to the resources through the SBA, I think. Are you referring to SCORE? The retired
no,
executive?
I'm actually referring to our resource center where we have information about funding. But if you think about SCORE, now that you bring that up, Donna, SCORE is another resource partner of the Small Business Administration, and they provide mentoring. And they provide mentoring to business owners at various stages of their business journey. So if you're just getting started, if you are thinking, if you have a business idea that you're thinking of, Or if you're kind of, like established and you've been in the game for a while and you might need to think about some new strategies or how to get new customers because the environment has changed, or your customer base is aging out of your product, perhaps.
Mm.
Perhaps you need to talk to a coach to think about like what's new and exciting now about your product that you're offering. How can you market it different? How can you think about a new customer base or a new audience that you want to attract? So a mentor can help you think through all of those things, as well as where are funding opportunities for your particular kind of business and industry. Like food and beverage, there's been a lot of support around the food and beverage industry, the beauty industry or the retail industry. So think about like sources of capital that are focusing on helping owners around those specific areas of your business.
Now, with all the uncertainty in the world, and I mean, man, has it been tumultuous and it continues to be, do you see any specific opportunities for mature founders in that kind of chaos?
So I don't know that there are specific opportunities, but I will say this. I think about COVID and where women were largely kind of impacted and pushed out of the marketplace, which caused them essentially to get into this entrepreneurial space and to start a business, right?
Right.
So COVID was one of those things that shook the economy and shook the employment space. And so I think about our brand ambassador, Damon John. He says that it's an unstable environment or an uncertain environment or change is when it's a great time to think about, is this to start a business?
Right. How can you do it better?
How can you do, exactly. You've been thinking about it for a while. You've been testing it. And now, why not chance it? I think about Donna, I interviewed the Cheesecake Furlough sisters who started their business during the government furlough. I believe it was 2018 or 2016. I can't quite remember. However, I remember when there was during the government shutdown and the government workers did not know how long the shutdown was going to be. And it was really starting to impact people's household economic security, right?
Yeah.
And so they didn't know when they were going to get another paycheck. They didn't know when this thing was going to end. So they started selling cheesecakes to the community. And then they were on the Ellen DeGeneres show. And then they got an interview about how they were selling all these cheesecakes in the midst of the government furlough. And now they have a location in Maryland at the National Harbor. They're working it full time, and so they're an example of what can happen in difficult times.
Yeah. Well, and some of the biggest businesses there are, I think, like Amazon, Google, people like that, started during downturns.
Exactly. So if you think you have something, talk to a coach, do your research, and then decide if taking that leap of faith is the right path for you.
For now. Okay, guys, I'm going to open it up here in just a second for you guys, so get ready with your questions.
Okay.
Let's see here. I want you to talk about your Meet the Founder and How She Did It podcast. Sure. What is that about?
Sure.
If our audience members want on, if they want to be your guest, how do they get there?
Absolutely. So I would say we're in our second season. And so last year, I had an idea while we were all virtual, trying to pivot and stay relevant. I was like, a lot of people are starting businesses. However, they just really don't know what to do and how to do it. And I think there's a lot of rich information from people who've been in the game for a while.
Yeah.
And so why don't I get in front of very seasoned entrepreneurs to talk about their journey and to use their story as an opportunity for them to share information on what they did and how they did it. Because I really believe, Donna, in the power of storytelling.
Yeah.
And so really it's less about their business, but more about their business journey. And so we have them come, so I have them come on, I interview them about like, how did you get started? What were some of the challenges? What do you think, what were some lessons that you have taken away from when you started that you use now? What do you wish you knew then that you know now?
Yeah.
And so all of those that I've interviewed actually agree to talk with people who listen to the interview about, if they have questions about their business and what tools that they can use. And the podcast, how she did it, which is, we're not interviewing new people, but it was a brainchild of mine to really talk to well-known brands of Black and brown women who have yielded some success. And again, to talk about their journey and talk about essentially how they did it as an inspiration and motivation to people who want to get started or who've just gotten started or who just kind of need some motivation to stay the course.
Keep going. Okay.
And Donna, if they're interested in being on the Meet the Founders, they can just hit me up on LinkedIn.
Okay. Very good. Okay, guys, go ahead and turn on your cameras and turn back on your mics. Let's get you on camera and ask any questions you might have. And while they're doing that, Felicia, I've 3 founders came to mind. Phyllis Newhouse started one of the biggest cybersecurity companies in the world. It's $1 billion business, and she's an African-American woman. And then let's see here. I've got several. LaFerris Risby is another one who's done something. She was in Enterprising Women's Magazine as a major award winner. So I've got some folks that I'd like to forward to. Okay, guys, what questions or thoughts do you have? Let's have a dialogue. And McKay, you're off. And Nan, your thing is off. What are you guys thinking? Susan, is that you?
I do want to say that, I really appreciate what you were talking about as far as funding, because on the banking side, and in my field specifically, I have a lot of women that come to me asking me about funding, and it is hard, and most banks don't do startups. You normally do have to be in business for 2 years. So I'm always looking for a resource to be able to direct those women or those different entrepreneurs into. And so it is hard. Sometimes I try to explain as much as I can and give them as much information of what they can do, maybe just to start the business credit side of things. But it is very difficult. And like I said, finding that funding locally and with banks in general. So we have to try to, a lot of times I use the resource of, a Chamber of Commerce that's in the area that I work with, and I know that they have some things. And here recently I've been introduced to some additional people that are doing things like that as far as that non-traditional funding. So I definitely will use this as a resource when I'm speaking with different people.
Absolutely. And I would encourage you to continue to visit our resource center. We're going to be doing a series of town hall meetings around women entrepreneurship next year as a way to kind of highlight some of our research, the new research survey that we just launched, but also to start a conversation around how organizations are supporting women entrepreneurs, what resources are available, and touch a little bit around funding. What are some funding opportunities, particularly in the non-traditional space?
Is that going to be a conference or a virtual thing?
So it's going to be a virtual, and we call them town hall meetings. Okay. And we'll probably do them regionally. So we'll probably have 4. And so it's a way to have organizations and business owners to come together, really to talk about one, this is what we're doing, and from the business owner side, to really kind of share their businesses too. and perhaps share some of the challenges that they've had that maybe some of the organizations can help address.
Good. Yeah, please look at us and me as a resource, okay? If you want some participants.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Other questions or comments?
My comment is everybody loves a story, and that is such a teacher right there. You know, how did you get started? And I just love when I meet new people. Being a teacher, I always go, well, what got you to Oklahoma? Or then what high school did you go to? And I was towed this week by AAA, and Otis picked me up at the Harvey restaurant because that's where I was having lunch with friends, and he took me to my car, and I go, anyway, long story short, his teacher in high school was my student teacher at Edmond Memorial High School, and her name was Jennifer Burris. And I thought, I just love how our tapestries interweave. But she was from India, and it was just hard for her to get adapted to our school system because hers was so different. But boy, howdy, right as she graduated, she was hired at Putnam City Original. And but I thought, just that little conversation in a truck.
That's amazing.
And I said, is your name Otis? He goes, no, my name is James. I thought, well, he's teasing me, but I said, okay, I don't get in unless I know your name. And so he's Otis. And anyway, fun little trip, but I just love how those stories just connect you.
Yes. And that's really, Marcia, that really was the goal of the Meet the Founders. When I thought about it, is because, I think, as I've heard from a lot of business owners, entrepreneurship can be a lonely world.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a way to also say that you're not alone. There's help out here. And so that's why the agreement to interviewing the founders is that they will serve as a mentor in some way to prospective and new founders, because we don't want them to go this alone.
Yeah, that's what we're part of. What we're trying to do too is keep people connected.
Exactly.
Give them resources. That's exactly.
And I will say, this student teacher, when she left, gave me a little black Cupid for Valentine's, because she said they're all Caucasian. She said there's no black Cupids out there. And so every Valentine's I bring it out and think of Jennifer. And she had a statement then, and this is 20 years ago. So,
Right.
anyway, I just love
Felicia,
The story.
Felicia, what would you say are the three biggest challenges for women when they retire, and not just in starting a business, in general?
Okay. Well, if you are not, so I would say preparation, or figuring out what's next. You probably use maybe 10 years to prepare for retirement. And that means getting your bills paid down, figuring out where you're going to live, getting your resources in a place where, you have enough to live, and how much you're going to draw down in retirement. All those financial things, I think that are top of mind when you think about retiring. Am I going to have enough to live on, because you're accustomed to your weekly or biweekly paycheck? So I say in general, it's a little bit of fear. I'm not going to be a 9-to-5er anymore. And so now what am I going to do? And people say that you should really have a plan before you retire. And I think that in a perfect world, yes. People say I'm planning for retirement, and a lot of times that could mean I'm planning to not work anymore. I don't know what that plan is. And so I think in general, there is that piece that, okay, I'm going to retire. I've decided to retire. Now, what am I going to do now that I'm in retirement? And for some people, it's a lot of different things, that could be a very long list. It could be a list of, wanting to do some things that you've been always wanting to do because work gets in the way. I mean, that's, your 9-to-5, but I think it's the unknown, right? It's even for me, I'm like, I think I want to retire in the next 10 years, but what does that look like?
Do you have any insights given where you're looking at it from, Nan?
Well, I certainly agree with what Felicia has said. It's the what next. And I think it's important to do that plan at this point, because if you don't know where you're going, you're probably not going to get there. So it's stepping back and thinking about setting some goals, setting some parameters, really sitting down with those finances and saying, let me take a look at exactly what I'm spending and exactly what income I'm going to have. And that's, of course, where entrepreneurship can come in to offset some of that. Because a lot of people want to travel, they've put all that on hold and they want to do something more interesting around the world. And now, of course, you can do that with a lifestyle business where you can basically take your computer with you and work from anywhere.
Yep.
Like you're doing today.
Yep.
Like I'm doing today. That's right.
And Nan, I mean, and you're spot on. I mean, I think it's a great time if you've been thinking about entrepreneurship and you have what it takes. It's a great time to really think about, like, I can now do this. But I would say, don't wait till you retire to start working on that. Use this window of preparation to begin to launch, or launch a little bit of it, test the market while you're still working. You don't have to quit your job. And then when you decide, or you hit that milestone or that date where you decide, you've met that retirement date, you can now say, okay, I've been doing this kind of side hustle for a while. I now want to do it full time. And as you said, Nan, is it something you can do while you're on a cruise or while you're in the Caribbean? Or does it need to be in a or does it need to be, or is it a brick and mortar? And we saw during the pandemic that a lot of people started online businesses.
And it's so much less expensive to do an online business than it is a brick and mortar, because then you're selling lease, you're getting employees, you're doing all those things. And I think today we're so lucky because we have things like Fiverr and Upwork, and we have people that we can not worry about, gee, do I have to worry about the taxes? Do I have to worry about reporting all the things I do when I have employees? I don't have to worry about any of that, because with Fiverr and Upwork, if you can find the right person, you get a pretty good person and you can get them at a reasonable price.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So life is, there are lots of solutions, is what I will say, that will help you do your business, take a little bit of a load off of you, to making sure that you can focus on the product of the business.
Okay, go ahead.
I just interviewed a couple, and they're not on the website yet, but I wish I could remember quickly what their website is. They have a whole website full of resources for people that they have put together from a variety of places. And so watch for, as I post, watch for Christine Schaefer and Robert Fisher, I believe it is. And I think you'll see, oh my gosh, here is a full website. I'll see if I can find the name of the website quickly. But it is a resource, Felicia, that you might want to have people link to. There's no downside to it. They're selling one thing on there that's a kind of a kit to put together to prepare, but excellent site for resources. And I'll see if I can find that for you, and I'll put it in the chat.
Great, thank you.
Very cool. Any other questions or comments, guys? Okay, I was going to kind of close it. Go ahead.
I just want to flip, at times I'm wondering, why am I come on these on Fridays? But see, I have young students that are youngpreneurs, so creative and all these ideas. And so I'm thinking, and, I have precious, a lot of Black underserved children. And COVID has done a number on them, but that's where I feel like my value is coming, is just networking. And I'm going to take them downtown to meet a new person I met at a memorial service, a company called by.e. This young entrepreneur is doing, and I'm trying to connect them too. So I take it at a younger age, but they're so excited. They're not fearful. They just do it. So.
Yes.
That's awesome.
And Felicia, you might want to also think about linking to our site. I have got Black History podcasts up there.
Okay.
And that is women who have lived, many of them. I had one woman who was walking to the church in Birmingham, and her friends were in the church and waiting to do a little group session, 5 of her friends, and the church blew up. And there's so many stories like that from civil rights era that you might want to take a look at the possibility of trying to link to some of those to give people a context of what the history has been. You might think it's hard today. Oh, it was a whole lot harder then. A whole lot harder then.
Absolutely.
So it's nanmckayconnects.com.
And Donna, I'm sure you'll connect me and remind me of all the wonderful resources that's been shared here today.
Yes, I will. This has been awesome. All right. So
Donna,
I
do want to drive people to, I think I failed to mention this when we were talking about funding. So I am working with the National Association for the Self-Employed, and they have a program called grants. It's called Growth Grants. So they have grants that help you grow your business. And the goal of the grants are really to reduce barriers to access to capital, remove barriers to access to capital. And we are working with them to support minority-owned businesses, age 45 plus, who just need some resources to either take their business to the next level or to sustain their business. And so the program awards 3 grants per month at $4,000.
Nice.
And we just awarded our first 3. And so it could be as simple as you need some new equipment because your equipment broke. That is the primary source of your business to produce your product. And so I encourage, and it's on the Small Business Resource Center for the 50 plus, but I wanted to draw your audience's attention to that specific funding opportunity that we are working with NACE, it's called NACE, to execute. So it's not an AARP grant. It is a program that we are helping to sponsor that they already had in place.
Excellent. All right.
Felicia, it was National Association for
the Self-Employed.
So NASE.
NASE. And I will say the caveat is you must become a member. It's a nominal fee, but with your membership, you get access to one-on-one coaches, learning videos, tip sheets, all the information you need to help sustain your business.
Yeah, that's awesome. I looked into them for health insurance benefits too. I think you can get group benefits if I remember correctly. Do that.
Okay, good.
Okay, fantastic. So at the end of the day, what do you most want us to have learned from you today?
So if you're courageous and
they are
and entrepreneurship is the path for you, then go for it. As I indicated, it's not for everyone, but if you really feel like this is your path, your passion, your calling, then go for it. Take all those necessary steps though. Don't jump in blindly. But don't wait till you have all the pieces in place. Get started. Go to get you a coach or a mentor to help talk it out, walk you through the process, come to our resource center at smallbizrc.org to download all the necessary information you need, listen to our webinars, take that information with you to your coach that can be at the Women's Business Development Center. But I can't stress enough that do your homework. You're not the first cake maker, seamstress, embroiderer, whatever it is. You didn't invent it, but you can help improve it. Know who your customers are. But I think that you can be successful, but you gotta stick to it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Any other actions you want us to take?
Yes. Go to our Small Business Resource Center for the 50 plus, and there you will get information. You can learn about, we didn't talk about succession planning for more seasoned, but there's information there. There's there's a tip sheet on how to build your business plan, which is so important. We'll be coming out with a tip sheet on how to build your marketing strategy. So that information is there, which is also important. And we have the audience pages. So we have something there for everyone.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Well, this has been terrific. I've learned a lot. You've reminded me of a lot of things. I really appreciate you being here.
I appreciate the invitation.
Of course, of course. Any final comments from you or anyone else? No? Okay.
I hope to, reach out to me on LinkedIn and hope to see you at the Resource Center.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to go there this weekend. All right. I just want to let everybody know our upcoming guests. So on November 25th, of course, it's Thanksgiving. So we'll not be doing anything that day. And I actually have to cancel December 2nd. But on December 9th, I've got Alan Weiss coming on, and he's the author of $1 Million Coaching, and he has written 60 books, and he's phenomenal. So he's going to be terrific. Hope you can join us on the 9th. As a reminder, we're partnering with OU and McLaren Cares to implement a program to help underrepresented people get on the path to high-paying technology careers. And what I need is companies that are looking for technology talent that they can't find, or they want to diversify the technology talent they have. And we'd like to partner with them. And we've got a program to build the talent they need. And it's phenomenal. 5,000 people have used it around the world. Many, many Fortune 500 companies. It really works. It's more than a check the box exercise. This is something that actually makes a difference in people's lives. So please help us if you know of anybody who could take advantage of it. If you like this program, please go to our website and buy us a cup of coffee. That's one of the ways you can support us financially. And please do like and share our social media pages and tell your friends about the program and have them join us. Okay, any final comments, anybody else?
Happy Thanksgiving.
All right, well, happy Thanksgiving. Yep, you too.
Happy Thanksgiving.
You too. Okay, so I'll see you guys next, no, I won't see you next Friday. So we're skipping 2 sessions, and then we'll be back on December 9th. And please remember, First Power, we have it. Let's use it.
That's right.
Take care, you guys. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.